Hey everybody, this is SteveO, and you are watching Into the Flow podcast. All right, everybody, this is Phebe with in the ITF Flow, and we are interviewing SteveO, the window cleaner today. So I'm so grateful that you have decided to join and discuss. I try to keep our conversations pretty, low key and no pressure or anything. I just like to have more of a discussion.
Right.
So I remember when Sarah and I were starting the business about 5 years ago, she and I would watch your videos. We would watch you and Luke the window cleaner because we're basically trying to learn from YouTube.
Right.
And so you were one of the guys that we started gravitating towards and just watching. You made some great videos and you still make great videos, and I still show them to my technicians for training purposes. And yeah, so that's how I know you. And then we met in person
Right.
last year in Branson. I
Yep.
think we were at a gift shop, you and Kat.
Alex. Yeah, Alex, my
Alex.
girlfriend.
I
Yep.
don't know why I
Yep.
want to keep calling her Kat. I
Kat
think
is Jordy's wife.
I met
That
them. I met them on the train, and I think we met them on the train on the way out of one of the conventions. And since then, for some reason, I've crossed your girlfriends.
yep.
Your,
No problem. No worries. Well, I think I met your dad, right? Actually in Colorado. A couple months before the convention.
yes.
And I didn't even know.
I was showing him your card, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I know that guy." And my dad's pretty like, nothing really phases him in terms of, you can say, "Oh yeah, I met Arnold Schwarzenegger the other day. Yeah, we had a great conversation," and he's very nonchalant about that kind of stuff. And then I think we met at I think a booth that Jordy was manning. He and I came and started assaulting you with a bunch of questions, I think.
Yeah, assault, pure assault. Yeah.
So I wanted to ask a little bit more about you, how you got into window cleaning, and whether it came easy to you in the beginning. Because when I watch your videos, it seems like the skill is very intuitive to you. Did you
Right.
start out that way?
No, not at all. No, so I actually started cleaning windows in college, and it was totally just a summer job just to have something to do, while I was in college and partying or whatever. And a local couple college guys started a business, and we just did homes. And literally what we would do to get these homes is we had door hangers, and we would go around and we look at the front of the house. We would just be like 150, 200, and we would just put it on the door handle, and people would call. They had a good amount of accounts, but we would just roll around four guys all day long. We never ever replaced our squeegee rubber in 2 years. I don't ever remember replacing it. I had a little 8-inch scrubber. I had a little squirt bottle of glisten and water, and that's what I would use. And I never remember, trying to go too crazy. It was just simple spray, scrub, squeegee, detail, done. Never went over the top or anything. So I did that for a couple of years in college, and then wound up graduating from Colorado State University in Fort Collins. Went out to California for a year. That's where I actually got to work at YouTube and kind of get like a taste of what YouTube was more than what I even knew at the time. And all it was a security job for YouTube. And it just happened. I was working at a restaurant, applied for a job on Craigslist, and it wanted to be with Google. And then I got placed at YouTube in San Bruno, California. Anyways, worked there for 6 months, decided I want to go back to Colorado. This is where I grew up. I just love the seasons, and came back, worked for a moving company for 2 weeks. And then I always knew when I was going to school at CSU that there was fish window cleaning around, because when I worked for the two guys, they always said, that's our competition. Like, that's the guys that get all the work in the area. So started working for fish, and that's when I had a guy train me who was, he was pretty rough around the edges, really just very straightforward. This is how you do it. This is the size of squeegee you use on this type of glass. If you do it any other way, you're going to be in trouble with me, you know? And within a year, I was his manager. So he didn't like that. So just like you said, I took a liking to it really, really quick, and I just enjoyed it. I've always enjoyed jobs of being outside, working hard, being tired at the end of the day physically. In high school, me and my brothers always had a lawn mowing business over the summers. So I was just kind of used to that type of work. And when I started doing like the storefronts and then started doing bigger commercial buildings, the water fed pole, it just kind of like brightened my interest of it. And the tool thing has always kind of been huge for me. I've always really been to window cleaning tools. I don't know why. And that's kind of the basis behind my channel, is like tools, techniques. I don't really go into like a lot of business stuff because there's so many other channels out there that do that. And I just find it boring sometimes to talk about. So yeah. So that's kind of how my window cleaning journey was. And then worked at Fish a couple of years, and then started working with Jim at 2020 Window Cleaning, and then became an owner with him over 3 years ago. And it's been a really good ride.
That's pretty cool. I've noticed that, like, when I talk to people that have had a past with Fish, they're always really technically solid window cleaners. And, you know, when you go to the Facebook forums, you hear a lot of Fish bashing. And I never really quite understood why. I mean, aside from the fact they were, you know, your competitor or a competitor. Right. But like when we went to the IWCA convention and they had the speed contest, like there's always a Fish person up towards the top, always. Yeah. And so I've started to develop a respect for that organization over the last 2 or 3 years. They're doing something right.
Yeah. And I think partially what it is they, you know, their prices are sometimes lower, right? From what I've seen, what I was working there, I saw, and then, you know, come along and learn a lot more. Their prices are lower, but it's what they offer. It's their niche of the business is kind of to be at some of them kind of more of a beginner level, but it works. It's a very good system that works. And I learned a lot from there. Everything I learned of how to sell to storefronts was all from there. I had a great manager who was just like a sales master. His name was Dave. He was like 70 years old, had a Monopoly mustache. And I mean, the guy could just sell. And he taught me a lot of just how to go in, follow up. And then, the window cleaning, you learn how to be quick because the prices are a little lower and you work off commission. You know that, okay, I got to get through this job kind of quick. And so, yeah, you do kind of just learn, and you're always by yourself. And that's the other thing I think is a really good thing to learn when you first start out, is being by yourself and figuring out that pace that you got to keep to make money in window cleaning, I think is a big thing. And I've always tried to keep with that. And that's why I think I've always tried to, you know, go after new tools and stuff, is because of, you could go so much further with other tools and make it better, make it more fun, make it quick. And that's what I try to do, is kind of make it fun during the day and take it lightly, have fun with my customers, and it makes me happy.
So when you were working with the crew of 4 guys, did you know at that point that I mean, did you just start liking window cleaning right away, or was it when you started working for Fish? And how long, you know, when did you realize, hey, this is pretty cool, I enjoy this trade, and, you know, it has these interesting gadgets that, you know, kind of keeps me interested, keeps me kind of playing in the field? Like, when did you know that you were going to really stick to it? Because you've been doing it for a while, and you're, you know, you've got a whole body of videos out there. I mean, it's
I remember when I first started making videos, and I started making videos at Fish, and it was just, I started putting my phone down and just like recording them and would see what happened, you know. But like, I would say, being at Fish, what happened was I worked there for 3 months and I broke my shoulder. So when I broke my shoulder really, really bad, had to have surgery, everything, I came back after 2 months, and then I became the sales guy with the other sales manager. So that's where I learned the sales. And then what I actually had to do to get back into it and to make some money was I had to learn with my left arm. So then I went out I would maybe do $200 worth of work a day, get paid $60 before taxes, and I would just clean with my left arm for 2 months. I would just pull and just try to work through it. And but the movement of just keeping the shoulder going, even if I was working my left, I'd still try to scrub with my right. That was kind of like rehab. And so that kind of just all intertwined together. And I think that really connected me with window cleaning in a different way that maybe not a lot of people have. And then from there, it was like, okay, now I've got this like base of the sales thing. I'm learning the technique. Now I can use my left and my right hand. So I feel cool. And so why don't I just continue with it? And then when I left Fish and I started working though with the guy I work with now a lot, Jim, he taught me a lot. I mean, he's been a window cleaner for 15 years at that point, and he was just able to teach me so much more about all the sides of the business. He was very open about it, and it was just a really great experience, and still is till this day.
That, I think, says a lot about window cleaning and you in general. Like if you are going to go out and break your shoulder and still want to come back and force yourself to learn, with, the arm that you're not comfortable with, and then continue with the industry, that's some dedication.
And I would say at that point, I did kind of feel like, okay, what else am I going to do right now? Because my degree of college was in sociology and a focus on criminal justice. You can't do much with a bachelor's degree in sociology as far as getting like a great paying job. You really got to go for, your master's and your doctorate in it. So I was at a point where I felt kind of in a corner, like, okay, I have to just push through this. And if I don't push through this, what am I going to do? And I can't really go and get someone else to hire me with a, big shoulder brace and all this stuff. So it did kind of push me to have to do it, but it just, in that time, really got my passion going for it.
Yeah. I got my degree in natural sciences, and it's a similar thing where when you come out with your degree, you're very much expected to have experience after recently graduating. You really do need to get a master's or a doctorate in order to get a job that pays well enough for you to stay in the field. Right. And so I was doing some work in that field briefly with in a fire ant. I worked in a fire ant lab, believe it or not, and that was pretty cool. And I started working with the city of Dallas, and I was working at the water utilities as an environmental person, but it was more of like paperwork. It was like, do the environmental inspections. You're the guy that we have to keep on staff to help show that we're doing our environmental stuff. And so, I had to wait tables in the evenings and the weekends.
Oh man!
Just to get by.
Right.
And so my dad, you met my dad. He had all this time had a variety of different window cleaning businesses, and he kept telling me about how much money he was making and how fun it was to work outside. And I kept brushing him off. And then I just started tinkering with it, and the rest is history, really. I started tinkering with it, and that's when I started watching your videos and Luke's videos. I was like, oh, this is really cool. And I remember when I bought my first kit, the yellow bucket with all those tools in there. Right. I bought my first kit, and I just started getting so excited about it. There was finally something that I had a little bit of control over.
Right.
And the rest is history. I just started pushing for it, and then I actually lost my environmental job. And so at some point it was like, this became my real job, and I had to make it work. And thankfully we were able to support our family almost right away. It was weird. Wow. It was just, Sarah was starting to explore the Nextdoor app, and she started to put the word out that, hey, we were this new business over in this neighborhood, and people started calling us. And I did have to wait tables still over the weekend, but it was more like, okay, now I'm going to just wait tables long enough until I can do this full time.
Right.
And so it was really exciting. There's just something about window cleaning that it's instant gratification when you're completing each project.
Yeah.
You can just kind of get it behind you, and you can feel good about it. And then the way the customers react when you do a great job, that's another part of it too.
Exactly. There is a high amount of customer satisfaction that makes you feel really good. And it is a quick satisfaction as far as, except for like construction cleans and stuff, like they can be agonizing. But that satisfaction of just making a house look so much better and making the people happy, especially when they're dirty windows and you can really brighten up the home. There is a really cool thing about that. So I totally agree with you.
So do you have a preference, residential or commercial or
Commercial.
commercial?
Yeah. How
What is
about
it
you?
about commercial? What is it about? What would you like more? What do you like more about commercial?
Commercial and storefronts is what I like. I like those large commercial buildings where I don't really like the customer behind you and kind of hounding you. Not that it happens all the time, but I find commercials just so straightforward. It's like the glass, clean your solution off the frame, detail a little bit, move on. If there's something wrong on the glass, it's not a big thing. But residential, it's like, man, you got to go in, you got to take the screens out, you got to check the tracks, see how dirty the tracks are. It always varies. You never know kind of what you're going to get with newer jobs with homes. There's always a blind that might break out of nowhere. There's always a hole in a screen they didn't see prior. And, like there's so many more things that come up on residential than commercial. Now, in saying it, the gratification from residential is way higher.
Yeah.
But like storefronts, restaurants, just going through them, I just enjoy that. Those kind of days, I am just so relaxed. And from what I find, I actually do better making money on commercial and storefronts than I sometimes do in residential. We just do straight window cleaning, but like, you get put at a $700 home by yourself for a day. That's like, oh man. But then doing $700 of say, 20 storefronts, I love that. Just zip right through it, have a lot of fun, talk to a lot of different people, be in a lot of different places. That's my thing. For
So
sure.
you like to just get to work. You like to pour yourself into the physicality of it.
Yep.
And it's like, I see what you're saying. I mean, we tended towards residential mainly because of just having to support the family. And it's just, you get the higher tickets with the residential. And so we just leaned in that direction, and we never really developed a strong commercial route, which
Right.
I kind of still want to do. But I can see how one that gives you a great environment to test the tools that you
Yep.
get excited about. It's like people are sending you tools, and you get to try out all the different tricks, but
Right.
then you just kind of get to pour into it and just go. And that's got to be pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And, even like I love, like a weird thing I love doing is the inside of office buildings. I don't know why. It's just like, it's bliss. Usually when we go, it's early in the mornings or on a Saturday. No one's there. They're always big jobs and we just move right through them, the three of us. And it's just, yeah, and I think you get to have more fun on commercials. You get to have more like fun with, fanning on the pole and just doing, dumb stuff that you don't get to do at residential jobs. You got to ladder everything, wipe everything down, make sure everything looks very pristine. And sometimes it just gets overkill to me, I would say.
So one thing I've been curious about is how you got into, now I know you worked at YouTube as a security guard, but how did you get into making the videos? Because like I've, I guess I really haven't spent a whole lot of time with the videos, but you make really good videos, and I'm wondering like what kind of, you started off with your phone, but like when did you start going and trying out the GoPro, and how did you go about making some of these videos?
Yeah, it was all Luke's fault. It was 100% Luke's fault. And no, so what happened is I think I posted my first video back in 2012. And it was just a video of me using the wagtail combi on the outside of my window in my old apartment. And I just did it for fun. And then when I would get free time, I would just like put my phone and just make a video. One of my like most viewed videos is just simply that. I was waiting for a restaurant to open and they weren't going to be open for 30 minutes. So I just filmed and just started messing around with fanning techniques on a window. And then I would say I kind of would be here and there as far as maybe upload every few months. Started talking to Luke, and then talked to Luke one day. He goes, I said, why does your video look so good? He said, well, I got a GoPro. It kind of just has like a wider view. And I said, okay. And I said, well, now I'll just forget about it. You're going to make this stuff all look good, and that'll be it. So then one day my dad had a GoPro. He won from work, and I said, "Hey, let me have your GoPro and just like use it for these videos for a little bit." So started making videos just here and there, and all I did was window cleaning montages. It was just window cleaning and music, and that was it. There wasn't really a whole lot of substance to it. It was just like, watch me clean windows, which I still do. And so, and then one day Luke kind of approached me about starting to do videos with window cleaning resource. And that's when I kind of took the serious route on it. Way more of a serious route was that started pushing out a lot of content through their channel. And then so I said, okay, well, let me just kind of go with it and just see what happens here. So then I started pushing out more videos on my channel and kind of trying to just grow my channel along with, you know, putting videos with them, with Jordy, and Tradman was doing it at the same time. So it just kind of started turning, and you could just see the wheels turning. And then it just progressed into, okay, what cameras can I get now that'll make it look better? What attachments can I get? And there were people like the window cleaning Palm from like Australia. He was really, really good at filming and, you know, had great videos. So you learn a lot from the different videos, and you start progressing with that, kind of putting them in the videos. And then the idea of, okay, products are starting to get sent. You know, content's kind of easy. When products are sent, you can review the products and just kind of go from there. And as that started to happen more and more and more, the channel just progressed, and I just kind of kept with it. And now what it has turned into is now I'm, you know, doing sales as WCR. It's, I work with Jobber with it. It has turned into, I would say, you know, my overall goal is to have many revenue streams in, you know, X amount of years. And that's what it's turned into, is it has turned into a revenue stream that's been very, very good. And it's encouraging because it's a lot of work put into these videos, and not all of them, but, you know, as far as just even the idea of filming a video and not really putting in a lot of B-roll, sometimes I'll film that video 15 to 20 times, and it may not look like that, but it's just, I don't really like too heavy of editing when talking, but you know, you film a video over and over again, like water-fed pole videos, and you want it to sound good. You want it to sound professional. And that's something I've tried to work in more, I would say the past year and a half, is just a more professional look. And so I got a newer camera last year that's like a mirrorless camera. It just has really good detail to it. So that was something I brought new to it. At one point, I bought a drone, tried to work that into it. That's not a good idea around customers' houses, and that's just not a good plan. So I took that out pretty quick, forgot that. But it was really fun in that when we started doing videos for Window Clean Resource, there was like a good team that we were all doing videos and pushing out stuff all the time. And that really created a group in which, when we first met at the convention a couple of years ago, just started like this bigger thing. And it kind of meant more. And it's just grown and grown and grown. And it's been a lot of fun.
So I don't know a whole lot about the GoPro. Does it actually come with the software that goes onto your computer that allows you to edit the videos?
No. So that you do have to find yourself. I use Adobe Premiere Pro. That is for me, it's been the easiest and the best to work with to really, really make fun and good videos that you can, you know, make a little faster, put some slow motion and cut them really nicely, put music in with them. And then for Adobe Premiere Pro, you can go on YouTube and learn so much about the software. You know, just like people go on and learn about window cleaning. You go on there and watch tutorials about how to edit this or edit that. And, you know, growing up, it was kind of always something that my brothers both did, was editing. So I kind of always wanted to do it, but I really didn't have a subject to do it. So then also when this kind of started up, it was just kind of fun to like see what I could do. My brothers are kind of into it as well. So that kind of helped encourage me as well. But, you know, the funny thing is for a long time, I was pretty embarrassed by all this.
Really?
Yeah, I'll be honest. I just thought it was like, I remember the first day that WCR shared one of my videos out on Facebook, and I was just kind of like, oh no, because like I didn't really say anything to the people I worked with, and I didn't want to be made fun of there, and I thought that may happen, and it was just kind of like, at first I was like, oh gosh, do I really want to do this? I want to put all this stuff out there, you know, and still I go back and forth sometimes of how much to share, you know, through these YouTube channels. And I think that's something that Luke also kind of dealt with, is like, the thing of being able to show your real personable side and be yourself in the videos, I think really lets people connect with you. Where if you're just too straight of business, and not having fun, it's like people that's a hard wall to break through, that people are kind of like, you're not showing your true self.
Yeah.
And that's something that definitely kind of is a hard thing to get through.
I like the, when you were talking about the various revenue streams, I got the image of just planting seeds and watering seeds, and just nourishing these various revenue streams. That's the way I visualized it. And I thought that was pretty cool. Like, they've got quotes out there that say we often overestimate what we can accomplish in a year, but then underestimate what we can accomplish in 5 years or whatever the number is. But, you've picked up a hobby that you enjoy, and that turned into a revenue stream, which I don't think you may have intended initially.
No.
Yeah.
And I think that's a very big thing to say, in that I think that's so funny you mentioned that, because I was thinking about this earlier, and that I get a lot of questions from people about how do I be an ambassador, or how do I be an influencer, or how do I, partner up with WCR? And what I always say to them is like, I couldn't really even tell you exactly how, because it just kind of happened, and it was never my goal for it to happen. The reason why I partially started the YouTube channel was because the guy who did train me held so many things from me, so that he would always be that top guy. And then I kind of learned them, and I said, no one should have to learn like this, have things held from you. And so that's what really pushed me to do like the techniques and just start to teach, and like, even when someone came to me about the videos and they said, do you want to be paid for the videos? I said, no, I don't want to be. It's not about the money. It's literally about helping. And this is, to me, so simple. And at the time, didn't take a whole lot of time, that, I just want to show the stuff. I know that sounds like cheesy and stuff, but I promise it's true.
Not at all. Actually, I can totally see that. So I think that people are attracted to, they're interested in watching genuine, they recognize genuineness.
Right.
So like, if you've selected commercial over residential in terms of it's just more fun, you can pour yourself into it. You can just kind of pick up the pole and play with the squeegees. It's like your playground. And so when you start to capture, that in a video, people are like, man, when I watch you, it looks like you're having fun.
Right.
It looks like you're enjoying your work, that I can almost see the satisfaction coming through the video. And then, so when you decided to go ahead and start helping people, and you're enjoying it at the same time, it's a win-win.
Right.
It's just a win-win. I can totally see that. And that's why I've actually hesitated to start making videos, because I've seen your videos, I've seen Luke's videos. I was like, there's no way I can put something together like what they do. But every now and then I'll be like, oh, here's something I haven't seen on the YouTube channels. I'll just put something out there and it might help somebody. I don't know. But I think that is usually why I think a lot of people do make videos, is because they see a problem. They recognize that there's people out there that don't know how to do something, and then they try to help. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And like, one of the channels I probably watch the most on YouTube, he doesn't even post that much often, is and it's totally not window cleaning related or anything, is a guy named Casey Neistat. And one of the biggest things he said when he started his YouTube channel, he talks about it now, is how he never ever tried to monetize a video or make money from any video until he was to 1 million subscribers. And it was because of that fact of, if you make it about the money right away, you just lose that passion, and you only look at a video for what the price that you can make on it. And that's just not a good way to go about the videos, because you're, okay, now in the back of your mind while you're making a video, I'm not getting paid what I want to get paid for this, so I'm not going to make a great video.
Right.
And so now when, I do get offered money here and there for things, I don't take it for like making the video, because I just don't find that to be, they're giving me a product that I can show in the videos. That's fun. I make a little bit of money through YouTube and other stuff. And that's just a good way of looking at it, so
So do you go back on occasion and think about the degree that you got in sociology and sometimes regret not having, found a career in that area, in that field?
No, if anything, what I regret is not just starting a window cleaning business like right out of high school and just
Right.
going with it. I feel like if I would have known what I know now, that's what I would have done. Like, yeah, I probably would have still maybe gone to college, but I would have started the business in college,
Yeah.
not worked for someone else. And like, I can't imagine like what it would be by now if I started it. Gosh, I graduated back in 2010. So I could have started it, 2006 when I first started college. Like, oh, it could have just grown into something so massive and huge by now. So if
Right.
anything, that's what I regret. I learned a lot from going to college. I don't want to put it that way. A lot of good things. And one of the best jobs I ever had that taught me the most as far as dealing with people was being a server, which I'm sure for you, maybe, being a server, you deal with all kinds of people with all kinds of attitudes. And it really, really helped me to go from there and be a lot more personable with people, be more humble, and just be able to deal with people better.
Yeah. So I would say something similar in that whenever you see those Facebook posts about what, people would change about their business, usually the one reason that floats to the top of my head is I would have started sooner. I would have started trying window cleaning when I was in high school, college. It just keeps you focused. And through the trade, you actually learn business. Like I think
Yes.
about, I think about really loving natural sciences and biology. And I am very passionate about like things like conservation and ecology and things like that. And I took some really awesome entomology classes, which is the study of bugs. So like before I took that class, I had no interest in bugs whatsoever. But the professor that taught that class was very passionate about bugs, and then he ignited that passion in me. And so I took the class. I fell in love with it. I'm kind of like you. I don't regret having gone to college. I learned a lot of great things. I enjoyed the subject. I'm still passionate about the subject, but I probably would go back and try to take a couple business courses.
Yeah.
They were right there. The School of Business is across the street from the School of Biology or whatever. I
Right.
probably would have taken some business courses, but I've learned so much about business just failing at it.
Right. Yep.
Failing forward, failing upward, not seeing it as failures, learning from it. It's just the best way to learn, I think. It's
Right.
just, yeah.
Especially this year. I mean, especially for not really when the recession happened, like 08, 09, I was still in college. It didn't affect me too bad, right? But then everything that's happened this year was really the first like whoa kind of moment of like what's going on business wise, what's going to happen. And it was scary, but you learn a lot about yourself as far as like, okay, what do we need to do to make sure things still go right? And this year I think has taught me more probably than any other year.
That's interesting that you say that, because I think I had started working for the city at some point, relatively soon after graduating college. And when you work for a municipal entity, um, you're kind of buffered from what's going on in the economy a little bit.
Right.
You're working in one of the most stable environments in terms of it's municipal government, and you're working within the water utilities. Everyone's got to have water.
Yep.
They're not shutting that thing down. And so I think I was buffered, aside from they had like occasional furloughs, but I think I was completely oblivious as to what was going on until now. And then COVID hit and everything that's going on. It's just all of a sudden I have to forecast a little further out. I have to start thinking a little further out and seeing what I can do. What are some of the things that you've learned going through this whole COVID thing in 2020? And
Gosh, I think what we did is that, for a couple weeks, right at the end of March there, it was kind of like sit around and kind of watch. I mean, that was, I think, the general consensus. We did stop for a couple weeks, but then what it, had me doing was sitting there thinking, geez, like, if we don't go out and do something and just try to get whatever we can get done, then what are we doing? I know there's so much stuff going out there. And the two guys I work with are older, and they were kind of more worried than I was, just about the health wise and everything like that. So what I did is I started going out and working and doing any of the jobs that we possibly could. And so that's what I did for the 2 months there. And then that kind of got also Jim, he started working with me a little bit more. And then by mid-April, we were up and going again. And it was more just going out there and saying to yourself, not assuming that you know everything that everyone's thinking about what's going on. And after just going out, even driving up to the different jobs we had and just talking to them, I would never have known, okay, no, come on this date and don't stop service. But it was more just the heavy communication that was needed during that time of everybody that you did work for. And that's what I think kept our business really, really going. Now, in saying that, Jim's had the business since 99, so he has a lot of return customers, so we have a lot of residential that's just always routine. And that residentially saved us. I mean, we really did lose, I would say, over 50% of our commercial work. And, for me, I could usually do commercial work Monday through Friday full time, and now it's 2.5 days a week, so things are slowly filling in. But I don't know if that answers the question very well, but that's what I mean.
I think that sometimes it was kind of the same thing for us in the beginning of March, where we actually laid off 2 of our technicians and we laid off our office assistant. And that's because we were like kind of similar boat where we were trying to, we were waiting on the information to come in. Here's this new thing. It's crazy. It's first it's an epidemic on several continents. And now they're talking about this word pandemic. My mother-in-law was in South Korea visiting my brother-in-law because him and his wife had a new baby. And so we were paying attention to what was going on in South Korea because they're like at this military base and all this stuff starting to show up and the virus is starting to show up on their base. And it's like, oh my God, what is going on? And then we started waiting orders of the Texas governor and the mayor. It's like, this is real, guys. We got to shut things down for a little bit. Yeah. And so we did that because we were following orders. And then we started thinking, well, what does essential mean? What is essential business? What do we do for our customers that could be considered essential? And at the same time, I noticed that the landscaping crews were still working. Yeah. They didn't stop at all. They're still out there mowing grass and cutting, whatever. And so I thought, well, here's what we're doing. I mean, we're helping our customers, maintain their homes. We're cleaning gutters. We're power washing, walkways and driveways in areas that could potentially cause slips, trips, and falls if we didn't. If you don't take care of your gutters, it can cause other problems. And so we kind of tried to reinvent ourselves in that fashion. And we even wrote up a document. Here's what we're doing out here. Exterior, we're not going into the house. This is why our services are essential. So we were basically being prepared. We were preparing ourselves to be shut down. Right. But what we found out was no one was really enforcing it. I don't think that the police department or what have you, I don't think that they were about to try to enforce whatever the governors or mayors were trying to say. Right. Yeah. It was more at that time, it was like, here's what it is. So we kept going and, we started, I think it was me for a little bit, exterior only, me for a little while. And then we started getting several, call volume started to increase again. So we started to get to where we could bring back one of our technicians part-time, and eventually it all started coming back. And it was residential. Yeah. It was residential. And I think a lot of homeowners were like, I want to try to do something. Right. I want to hire this window cleaning company. I want to do something for the economy. I want to do something for whatever's going on. Right. And so I think that they, especially the loyal clients, they really, wanted to keep things going. And, I said what we're going to be wearing, face coverings, because at that time they actually didn't have the N95s. So
Right.
we're going to wear face coverings. We're going to stay out of your house. We're going to do this, do that. We even had a large bottle of sanitizer that one of on my wife's side, her uncle has a commercial janitorial business, and so he had already started pivoting. At the moment they started finding out about the pandemic, he started acquiring some sanitizer because he was going to start helping businesses sanitize
Yeah.
commercially. And so he dropped off a bottle. We put it on the truck because we were like, hey, listen, part of what we're doing while we're out here is we're sanitizing door handles.
Yeah.
We're
Why
doing what
not?
we can. So that's something that we did learn. And it's still, we have started picking up, and we are doing interior now, but with masks and everything. So,
Right. Yeah.
um, but I'm just grateful to be on this end of it. It's
Yeah.
just, it's crazy. So,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, I mean, if we can get through this, I
Yeah.
imagine 2021, I mean, it can only get.
I know. Right. And the funny thing is, our business is called 2020 Window Cleaning. And
I thought about that. Yeah.
January and February, everyone would come up to me, oh man, this is your year. It's going to be huge. It's going to be great. And then, boom, everything happens. And it's kind of like, I don't know, maybe we should switch the name, because now 2020 is just not a good word to say. It's like Voldemort and Harry Potter. It's like, you just don't say that anymore.
Right. So tell me about how you ended up meeting. What did you say his name was? The owner of 2020?
Jim's the
Jim.
other owner of it. And basically what happened so my parents lived in the area that he serviced. When I was cleaning windows for fish, I lived a good hour north. So my parents moved to a new home. They just wanted a window cleaner to come. It was a construction cleaner. I said, I don't want to do it. I don't want to be liable for anything. Hire somebody else. So they wanted to hire Jim. Had him out, and my mom called me. She's like, oh my gosh, this guy's so nice. He's an older guy, but he's just great. And he has this really nice helper with him. They're all clean cut. They just did a great job. They sent a card after, saying we very much appreciate your business. She was just over the top about him, right? So when I decided I wanted to leave from fish, first I actually reached out to his best friend. I didn't even know he was his best friend. I reached out to their business, and he said, well, I'm not hiring right now, but my buddy Jim is. So he said, send your resume to Jim. So I sent my resume to Jim. This was probably in October of 2013. And he called me and he said, well, I'm really not looking for someone until about April 1st, 2014, but hey, let's get together and just chat. We got together and chatted for a long, long time. It was just like, we both had the same truck. There was just something there that just felt right. And then from there, it just started a really great friendship and a great business relationship that just has really transpired and been able to grow, together in the business. And he's really good at the whole business side of taking care of all that. I kind of take care of, training, all the tools, and just keeping everything like that. And it's just worked out extremely, extremely well together.
So are you like the operational manager? I'm curious to see how the business evolves from you being a technician to then being part owner. How did you go from? Explain that journey and
Yeah.
what that looks like. Yeah.
So actually, I was going to leave at about the 3-year mark. I actually had applied also at 3-year mark. I was actually about leaving window cleaning. I just wasn't financially happy with it, to be quite honest. At that point, I was an employee getting paid hourly, and it just, in the area that I lived at, it just wasn't enough money. So I went to him one day. I said, hey, I'm going to have to leave because it's just not enough money. By the end of that day, I was 25% owner. So that's what happened. that's how it came about. And, it was that, I ran one crew, he ran one crew. That's all we kind of wanted to keep to. We once got to where we had 3 crews going out, and we just didn't like it. So we brought it back to 2. And it was, he would run one crew, I'd run one crew, and it just worked out really, really nice. And I don't think he quite wanted that to end yet. So that's how I became an owner. And it was talked about from like day one that he eventually wanted to do that. But it was, I needed to prove myself. I needed to prove my worth and prove that, I was a good partner for him, and it worked out. But that's exactly how it happened. It wasn't really known at the beginning of that day that was going to happen. And by the end of that day, I was, part owner, and it worked out really well because I wound up not getting hired by air traffic control. And, and I was really happy about that in the long run too, because that could be a highly stressful job.
Yeah, I hear that's one of the most stressful professions out there. And so now you get together as 25% owner. Do you actually all have regular business meetings, and do y'all talk about forecasting and like the future of the business? I mean, do y'all?
Yeah, we just do that whenever we do work together quite often, and like, so we're just the type that, we'll call each other at night, talk about stuff, very, very open with each other. So when we're cleaning a home or on the outside, we're always talking about business and, what we should do with this and what we should do with that. And that's just kind of how we've always done. We've never had like a business meeting. And I know it sounds so unprofessional, but it's because, we're two crews, we don't have a shop. We just operate out of, I have the van at my house. He has a van at his house. And that's what we've always done. And it's worked out. We thought about renting a place a couple of years ago, but the cost was like, I'm not going to deal with it. So
where do you, have you started thinking about, 3 or 4 or 5 years from now, where do you see yourself in the next few years? Are you still working with Jim and making YouTube videos, or are you thinking like, I don't want this to turn into some sort of big, like I'm making big life changes, but I mean, I'm just curious, what are some of the things you're thinking about doing?
Yeah, I would say that in 5 years, I will most likely be, on my own as far as either continuing 2020 in a different way or starting my own for sure within 5 years. But the progression that I've really, really enjoyed lately is now working with Window Cleaning Resource. That has been a huge change. And I really enjoy that big company feel of what that is, and working with them and all such great people there. And that's been a relationship that, has transpired over the last like 4 years as well. So I see myself a lot more involved in that at the 5 year mark than involved in actually cleaning on the glass. So I would say that I enjoy sales. I enjoy, talking to people about tools, talking to people about their businesses, helping them grow their business, and hearing back that what I'm doing for them is helping is huge. And so I don't want to get into like business mentorship. I don't really want to get into that. But my own company, and then also be doing sales quite a bit is what I envision over the next like 5 years.
If you're still enjoying it. So like, if it becomes like, kind of like what you were saying, if it becomes too much of a job, like you're looking at your agenda for the day and you've got to consult with XYZ business about ABC decisions. And it's more like, if it's something that, it comes up conversationally, hey, I'm having a problem with whatever. And then, it's more of like an organic form of assistance as opposed to something that you're being held to,
Right.
Obligated to. Yeah, I can see how you would stop enjoying that for sure.
Right.
So I was looking at the time, and I'm going to try to not take up too much of your time, but
Okay.
if you could go back to your past self, what are three things that you would, you've already said that you would have started sooner. You would have, out of high school, you would have started your business sooner. But what 2 or 3 things would you go back and try to teach yourself, your young Steve?
Humility would be the first one, just to be humble. That was something in being the manager with Fish that I wasn't. I was way over the top. I was just, thought everything had to be done my way, and it was my way or the highway. And I do not have that train of thinking anymore. I was just pumped up as a young person. I was just really, really pumped up. So relax and humility. A second one would be to listen to myself. I had a lot of, I would say, anxiety about thinking, well, what if this guy knows more and I'm just going to stay quiet? And I think staying quiet and not putting your opinion out there in a respectful way is something I really lacked. I kind of just stood in the back, and learning that you can help people and what I've done through all this, I just wish I would have kind of opened up earlier, as far as all that goes, and not stood back so much. And that was more through college and stuff. I just feel like I could have spoke up more in opportunities, and I've done more quicker, by just putting my own point of views out there. Third one. Man, I don't know. I gotta think here.
There's one video that you made that I thought was a really good one, where you have this honest discussion about, and I can't quote the name of the video, or, I have to paraphrase what you said, but it was something along the lines of like learning to not take yourself so seriously. Your clients are not going to be looking at the glass like this. They're going to be they're going to get the overall impression of the glass that it gives them. And sometimes as window cleaners, we get all kind of wrapped up in the perfect window. And that really resonated with me, because I was in that wrapped upness. I was in knots. Right. Everything's got to be perfect. My technicians, I was like on them, this has to be perfect, blah, blah, blah. My reputation's on the line, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And then when I heard you say that, I was like, I could breathe. And I was like, oh, man, that is so right. Because even now, my clients never see the stuff that I see. And they're never going to see the stuff that I see. And in the process of trying to make everything perfect, it can become kind of stressful. It can become unhealthy. And so when you brought that up, I was like, man, so what sequence of events led you to that realization?
Oh, I was just a way over the top OCD window cleaner. And just like I was saying, where I needed to kind of relax and calm down, was because I was just like, everything has to be off the glass. What is this hard water? What is this small dot in the corner that I can barely see unless I go like this? And like, I would kill myself at jobs, just overthinking everything. And I even got into an altercation with a past employee at Fish because of it. And it was just kind of like, what am I doing? Why am I doing these kind of things? And, it was more the efficiency that I saw, and that once I just designed a straight system of exactly what I was going to do for the windows, and not think of any window as much different other than, if I knew it was a construction cleaner or whatever, gosh, just stuff started to go. It started flowing, and just the hourly rate went up, and that's, Alfredo, the other guy I work with, he's been cleaning windows for 14 years. Jim's been cleaning windows for 20 years. And I could always see that's what they were doing. Like they had a system. They just kept that system for every single window. So I just started doing that. And then I stopped. The first guy who ever trained me said, when we get done with the storefront, look at the storefront like you would if you weren't ever a window cleaner. Did you ever think about clean windows, really? I said, no, not really, but it is good for a restaurant to look clean. He's like, exactly. It's good for it to look clean, but you don't need to go up and dissect every single little tiny thing. You've cleaned all the windows. You made it look 100% better than what an employee is going to do with a ragged Windex. Like you're offering a service that their employees cannot do unless an employee is some expert window cleaner, right? So it was just more of a thing of looking at it as an overall job rather than each little pane and angles. And that's when I talk to a lot of newer companies, and is the biggest thing is they overthink everything. And I always say to them, calm down, relax, turn your music on, jam out, clean some glass, and you'll be done before you believe it. And that's what I do every day. I jam out, clean some windows, super happy, don't overthink it, and never have complaints. Not always, but sometimes,
I'm imagining like Master Shifu and Kung Fu Panda. I've got 3 kids. My kids are like a big Kung Fu Panda fan. They love watching the movies. I've enjoyed watching them as well. But like that you've learned the profession, you've become very technically proficient, and then it's like, now just let it go and forget that you're actually a window cleaner. And when you look at it that way, it's like, this is pretty awesome. It looks amazing. I mean,
yeah.
I remember that video sticking out a whole lot. And then the other technical stuff, I mean, that was good too. But like that particular one was like speaking to like it was delivering a message that I needed to hear from someone in your position.
Yeah. 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 And I think too, kind of to add to it real quick, kind of another thing would be, and it kind of goes in part with it, was I was very much in this idea of like, look at me clean this window. Like, this is so cool. Like, you think I'm cool. You think I'm cool because I'm cleaning your windows. And like, I was more like get into the job and work, and not really talk to the customer, just try to impress them with my window cleaning. And a couple of years ago, learned that that's so wrong. Like, slow down a little bit, talk to the customer while you're inside. Have it be an overall good experience. Ask about them. One of the biggest things I do is like, people like to talk about themselves. But when you go in and you just start talking about your business, they're probably sitting there and you're not really looking at them. You're cleaning the windows and they're like, oh my gosh, like this guy every time is telling about how much he makes this month or how many windows he's cleaned this month. So my biggest thing now is whenever I'm in houses, wherever, every storefront, I don't care who it is, just talk to the people there. And it's amazing how sometimes, you first meet a person, they may seem a little bit stuck up or they may seem quiet, and you just start talking to them. And it might not be the first time, might not be the second time, but the third time you go, they just open up and you learn so much more about people. And one of the things that happened was when Alex, my girlfriend, started working for us, over like 2.5 years ago, she doesn't work with us anymore, was that people started remembering her rather than remembering me. And I said, what the heck is going on here? How are you so memorable and I'm not? And I've been working here for 4 years at that point. And she goes, you're just not memorable. You don't talk to him, And I'm like, you know what? You're right. You're really right. I'm not connecting to the customer, and just started doing that.
You're connecting to the glass.
I'm just all about the glass. So that was like one of the biggest things. And I felt like at my age, I should have known that already, but for me, it was just one of those things where that's when I learned it. And I think that has been one of the things that has changed me the most and made, window cleaning can get old at times, especially when you're doing it 6 days a week, 8 to 10 hours a day, that same motion all day, that can get tedious. But it is the people that can be around you that can really make it,
Yeah. Well, and I hate to make it about business, but there's a phrase, I think, I can't remember who was talking about it, talking about the commoditization of your business. If you're talking to your clients and you're connecting with them in more ways than just cleaning the glass, they're developing a relationship with you. They are connecting with you, and it's something you can't put a price tag on. And so, I think that I was I had a very similar attitude. Let's get the project done. Let's move on to the next project. But now I'm trying to take more active steps to connecting with the client, asking them about their kids, petting their dog, complimenting them on their landscaping, because a lot of these people do some really amazing things in their backyard, and you're like,
right.
Oh, this is amazing. Like, I would just come here just to clean your windows, just to be in your landscaping. It's awesome. When you take that time to connect with them, it touches them. It really does. And I think that's really important, and that's something that people can forget sometimes. So real quick, I'm going to conclude with a couple of things, and I apologize. I was reviewing the list that I sent you, the questions list, and every now and then my messenger does these weird things where the thumbs up, the surprise face, and so I'm not actively trying to do that. I'm just trying to review the list.
That's fine.
I was going to ask you about some books. Do you have any favorite books, 2 or 3 that have resonated with you, or that you're currently reading? Or it doesn't even have to be business related.
Yeah, this is going to sound really bad. I'm not a big reader. I'm just not. Ever since college, I do everything I can to just, like, I'm a huge get on the web, read the news. It's really bad. Social media has just really taken that effect on me where I do not read books a whole lot at all. Like, when I read that question, when you sent it to me, I was kind of like, oh, should I just say like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory starting out?
Well, I'm not a big reader as well. I think the only way that I can actually take in books these days is through Audible. And so I've been listening to a book that it's a fiction, I get fiction and nonfiction mixed up sometimes, but there's a trilogy that I listen to called the Bartimaeus trilogy. And it's like it's about this genie, and it's a really interesting book. I can my mind can kind of escape into the fantasy of it. And then occasionally I'll listen to some of the books that I download for my kids. Like they're big into Percy Jackson and the Greek gods and all that stuff. And I've just kind of gotten really fed up with the business related books. I do listen to some of those, right, but I also kind of get a little irritated with myself when I can't implement everything that's in the book that they're telling me to do. So like, I don't need to put more on my to-do list right now. So I'm just going to zone out. And if it's not audio books like that, I'll listen to music. So
yeah. And I think a big thing, a lot of people do too, is I listen to a lot of podcasts. It's mostly like Joe Rogan, so it's not like that educational. But he has a lot of interesting people on there, and you can get a lot of different topics throughout the week. And it's exactly what you say. You kind of put that on, and you zone out, and you're kind of like just flowing through the job, and it's like, oh, I'm done.
Yeah.
All of a sudden.
I like podcasts, and what's weird about them is sometimes I won't necessarily remember a project until I'm at the project. Well, no, I'll remember the project, but the weird thing is I'll remember what I was listening to when I was doing the project. It's so weird. Oh, I was listening to the Joe Rogan episode 1245 or whatever, and it just comes back. It's really weird. But anyway, SteveO, I appreciate you taking the time to visit with me on Into the Flow podcast. I've been inspired by you for a long time. Keep making the good videos and keep doing what you enjoy, because I think that's what I like the most about you, is that you're enjoying what you're doing, and I enjoy watching you enjoying what you're doing.
Well, so thank you.
I want to leave it there. I appreciate your time, and I look forward to my next trip to Colorado. Maybe I can come visit or something.
Oh yeah, most definitely. And thank you.
I got to come see my dad.
It was a joy. Yeah, you're gonna come see your dad. Let me go.
I got to come see my dad. Yeah, come and see Sean Gavin. Come see you. Come see Chris Doolin. There's a few people up there that I like to, just come and say hi to. So
yeah.
I don't want to take up any more of your Monday. So enjoy your time with Alex. I got the name right this time.
There you go.
All right. Thank you, SteveO. Enjoy the rest of your evening. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, man. Have a good night.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.